All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. NorCal Sports Network. Welcome to the show tonight. We got a little fun topic tonight. If you guys like that thumbnail, let me put it up for you. Show you what it looks like right here. This is the topic. And got the idea from Dan, the caveman. That's right. No one knows what it's like to be a caveman. All right, here we go. This is going to be a fun night, guys. Fun night, fun show. Welcome on in. We got Cody, who's out in the green room. He'll be joining us here as soon as we get through our opening. And let us first thank our sponsor of the show tonight. That is Prize Picks. That's right, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you want to let me pull up the description so I can actually read it. That might help, right? Here we go. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you build lineups by choosing whether players will have more or less than a projected stat total. Right now, new users get $50 in lineups when they play their first $5, win or lose. That's right. You only have to put in $5, everybody. You don't have to put in 100 and then they'll match you with 100. Just use that promo code right there, NCSN, at the bottom of the screen. Prize Picks available in 45 states, including California and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today. Build your lineup and follow along while watching the games. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And if you don't want to download the app itself, you can go to the link in the video description of this show right here. Click on it, takes you right to NorCal Sports Network's, the link. So only need $5 to play, guys. That's not bad. It's a lot of fun. Got NFL playoffs coming up this week. You could have chose Warriors. Just pick Steph over because he's carrying the team. It's a lousy team now. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Also, we want to thank our longtime sponsor of the show. That would be Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Make sure you reach out to Chapman Law Group. Give them a call, 415-613-9483, and let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, that covers our sponsors. And with that, we welcome into the show Cody from Even Year Dynasty. Welcome, Cody.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And we welcome, of course, Dallas, as always. And tonight's going to be fun, guys, because there's a lot of ways that we can drive this conversation. And let's see, what do we got? Oh, right off the top, we got a thumbnail of Devers. Looks like he's doing his best to hide the pain. Harold face. Just grit your teeth and earn $30 million a season while San Francisco spins its wheels. Yes, JB from Down Under. This is you want to see that thumbnail again? Let's throw that thumbnail in there and give credit to our kind of giving us. We couldn't get the caveman tonight. He was busy, but
I was the backup.
Cody's the backup. Yeah, check that out. Let me remove. Thank you for the donation, JB, and let me remove that so we can see the full. Okay, it's a genuine question, and this is going to be the topic tonight, guys. If the San Francisco Giants didn't want to be legitimately competitive, why on earth did they trade for Rafael Devers? I thought that was a great question, and we'll pull this down. Let me show you something else, guys. This is we're talking about competitive. This is what Buster's three biggest moves. As really in his first year. If you consider he signed Chapman in September of the 24 season, don't don't believe it when he said he didn't know that he was going to take over. That was all part of the plan. They let Farhan go at the end of the season, or 3 days before the end of the season, and so Posey had set Chapman as his foundation, and then he went out. I thought it was a pretty decent move. Adames, they didn't have a shortstop. He was the best available on the market, but you look at the numbers, and then the trade for Devers last year. So he's committed $583 million, and they have pretty much 5 years left for Chapman, 6 for Adames, and 8 for Rafael Devers. So the question is, what are we doing, guys? Why are we stopping there? And we're going to take you in a whirlwind of directions. There's really 3 or 4 theories out there. You've heard me, Cody, I believe, talked a little bit about it as well, that this could be in the stages of a soft rebuild. Why keep spending money right now when you look at the Dodgers and say, what are we doing? How are we going to compete with the Dodgers? Do we want to go spend money, get free agents, lose quality draft picks and quality international pool money? You saw some teams had over $8 million in international pool money. The Giants got the number 1 international prospect in Luis Hernandez. What am I doing? Luis Hernandez. Wait. Yeah. Right? Yeah, Hernandez. Luis Hernandez. Rodriguez, Hernandez. I had started to sound wrong, but Luis Hernandez, and they gave him $5 million of their $5.4 million pool. Imagine if they had $7 or $8 million, and they could have added another top player possibly or two. So you don't want to keep signing free agents if you're not ready to compete and throw away money and draft picks. That's one theory. There's another theory that I've thrown out there, and I think others have said it too, that maybe Greg Johnson has said, look, Buster, look at these big moves I let you do. You didn't even finish. You had to sweep Colorado to get to 500 with this group. Prove to me that you can start winning, and I'll open up the purse strings a little bit more toward the trade deadline. That's a possibility. And the other thing is maybe they're just going to say, you know what? We did our heavy lifting. If these guys can't get it done in the next couple seasons, maybe even this season, if at the trade deadline they look like this team isn't pulling its weight, maybe they say, hey, Chapman, you willing to go to, Muncy? Maybe Muncy has a bad year. And the Dodgers don't have a third baseman after Muncy, and maybe they say, hey, you willing to go to L.A.? You're from Southern California? Maybe there's a deal, something like that, or the Yankees. Maybe Webb, can bring you, like we saw what Freddie Peralta brought, right? For 1 year, 2 top 100 prospects. What do you think Logan Webb would bring, guys? And I'm not saying this is the direction. I'm just saying, if they're not going to compete, what are you going to do? Keep Logan Webb for 27 and 28 season and let him walk and get nothing? Okay, so I've said a lot. I want to hear from you guys. Cody, you're our special guest. Tell us what you think's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's kind of a combination of factors at play right now. I do think the Dodgers it's weighing on a lot of owners. I mean, there are a few that have obviously been willing to open up the checkbooks. Cohen's always willing to in New York, and then obviously the Blue Jays spent quite a bit, having been mere inches away from winning the World Series this year. So I think a team like the Giants being in the situation they're at, where they're not particularly close to even really competing with LA, let alone passing them. I could easily see Johnson, like you're saying, just kind of being like, no, we're not gonna fork out all this money yet. We're gonna hold off. And if if some of these young guys take a leap and all of a sudden we find ourselves in contention at the deadline, then yeah, they'll be plenty under the tax to where they could probably take on almost any player and not have to worry about going over. But so, I mean, I could easily see that being the case. And then also I think with the lockout upcoming, That seems very likely to occur. I'm still, I still question on whether or not any actual baseball games will get missed, because at the end of the day, too many people lose money and usually some sort of compromise takes place. I don't think games have been missed since 94. So
Ned Coletti would agree with you. My talks with him.
Yeah.
It'll get solved.
I mean, it might eat into spring training. It might eat the off season a bunch. I have a hard time thinking actual games are going to get missed, but we'll see. And then, the other part of it is, and Buster knows this, is the team has to develop some stars. That's the reality. You can't only go external for all of your players. And at some point they have to hit on some internal guys. And I think they have a lot of guys that they think are ready right now. We'll find out if they actually are. They went and got a bunch of coaches that are very highly regarded when it comes to player development, especially guys like Christian Wonder, who they brought in on the pitching side to be one of the assistant coaches, who's kind of like a mechanics guru, who I think is going to really work with Birdsong a ton. Mentz has got rave reviews from his time with Toronto. I could easily, and then obviously Washington, been great with infielders, is really good with base running as well. I could see them thinking, hey, we can squeeze more out of what we have. Now, is that smart? I mean, a lot of people definitely don't feel it is. I don't love the fact that they haven't been more aggressive, at least trying to maybe get one more piece to add to the core to go around these young guys to take some pressure off. But I mean, that's just kind of what I'm seeing out of the org.
I'm surprised they haven't done that. I think that, all the options you presented, I think there's another option where they have a set price in their head about what guys are worth. And I think a lot of guys went for more than what you would expect them to go for this offseason. And I think they could have just gotten priced out. To get them free agents to come to San Francisco, you kind of have to overpay. And I think that probably,
started badly with Dylan Cease.
I know. Yeah, I did.
7 years for $210 million a year for Dylan Cease. The guy's he's like a number 3 at best.
Right. So it got off to a big start like that. And so maybe they're a little hesitant to do that. I do think they do have budgetary constraints. They're not going to go over the cap or way over the cap. So they don't have a blank checkbook. And I don't think they really need one, because they know they're not going to compete with the Dodgers. They understand that. They've come to terms with that. What their goal needs to be is win 10 more games and get into the playoffs. Baby steps. You need to improve this team enough so that you have a 90-win team instead of an 80-win team, and then at least give yourself a fighting chance at getting hot at the right time and getting into the playoffs. And I think the fan base wants the world. They want as much as possible. They want huge stars, big bats, but realistically, I think we can realistically expect as fans that they're going to put a competitive product on the field and give the Giants a chance to at least be in the playoffs. That has to be the goal. You cannot continue to miss the playoffs year after year. You cannot continue to be a 500 team year after year after year. That's insanity. So I am surprised they haven't made another move, something to improve the team in the outfield. That seems to me their biggest, after they've shored up the pitching a little bit. I mean, going into the season, I thought you need to add a big name pitcher, that can replace Robbie Ray next year. They didn't do that. Doesn't look like they're going to do that. So if you're not going to do that, shore up your outfield and get someone out there. Doesn't look like they're going to do that. So, there's still a couple of options they could do. There's still some trade possibilities, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to make a move if they get taken. I don't know that Peralta deal would have been very favorable if they had matched whatever the Giants' equivalent of that deal was. So I don't know. And like Cody said, it could be a wait and see thing where you get started with this season, you see how Eldridge is looking, you see how Devers bounces back, you see how Casey Schmidt handles his new position, and How did he train in the off season? How's his range? They look at these changes that people have been making in the off season, see how things go, and then before the deadline, if they are showing promise, they can make a move. And then if they're not showing promise and things are looking bad, then they can, sell off some pieces. But I don't know. I think they think that they probably have a better chance than we're all giving them credit for with, Tony Vitello and the new coaching staff. They think they're going to get more out of these players that they've continued to hold on to, for a long time. There's a lot of guys that are, we're still waiting to see what their potential could be. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm underwhelmed this offseason, and I'm hoping maybe there's still some type of improvements that could be made before spring training. But at this point, we kind of have to come to the realization that this might be it, and we'll have to see what we got.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little more bullish than I think a lot of people are on what their final record will be, like what the talent on this team is. I can't get over the fact that last season, it felt like they performed at the absolute floor. Like they got absolutely nothing out of them. And I'm not putting all the blame on Bob Melvin. It doesn't all fall on him. But when you look around at like Matt Williams struggled big time as the third base coach, the pitchers, nobody really outperformed expectations. You could argue Root did for a while, and then he had a couple, injuries kind of pop up. But none of the young guys took a step last season. Then you look on the offensive side. Who on the offensive side outperformed expectations across the board? Like, I don't think a single guy.
Dom Smith.
Yeah, Dom Smith. Yeah, one guy, Dom Smith, outperformed expectations, and he wasn't even, and he probably benefited from not even being in Giants camp to start the year. He was with the Mets still, I'm pretty sure. So it's like nobody really took a step last season. And so to me, you bring in guys that are very well regarded, that can be a different voice, and I think there's at least a solid chance that they squeeze a little more out of the roster. So I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and say I think they're a playoff team, because I don't. I mean, I think I have them probably around like 84 wins. I think they're going to be a little bit better than 500. But I don't, so much is going to ride on the young players, and I'm not trying to put such high expectations on, Eldridge to be this force in the middle of the lineup or anything like that. If he is what everyone hopes he is this season, then it changes the whole outlook for this team.
Sure.
Especially if at least like one pitcher steps up with them. But then if the team doesn't, then it might be, like you said, they might be looking to trade. Now, I don't think Chapman, Adames, any of those guys are going to go quite yet, or Webb, but I definitely think if the team's struggling, Robbie Ray is going to get shipped off somewhere, and Mahle will get shipped off somewhere, and anybody
with an expiring contract.
Yeah, those guys they'll get dealt. But yeah, I just, it's tough, because I mean, we all wish they were more aggressive. We do, but after also at the same time, after years of everybody complaining about them playing old vets and not giving the kids ever a chance, it's like, okay, well, they're kind of,
that's true too.
They're kind of going, hey, we're giving them a shot. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys caught the article from Mario Gerardo. Did you see that in the Giants page about Casey Schmidt?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, let me bring it up here. I think it might be up now without showing highlights. Let's see here if I can get around the. Okay, about his wrist, he's doing well. He's actually hitting off a tee now, and I reached out to him today. I haven't heard back yet. I'm hoping that we can get him on the show here in the next week or two before he actually is really fully committed to spring training. But he says he kind of dealt with it probably since June or July. He got hit in Miami the first time, and then it was sore since then, and then he got drilled again shortly after that. Let me see if I can find. While Schmidt has resolved his wrist issues, he still isn't in the most comfortable spot heading into the 26th campaign.
He's projected to serve as a Giants starting second baseman this year, but the club has been looking to upgrade at the position this offseason. San Francisco was recently linked to the Cardinals' Brendan Donovan and Cubs' Nico Horner, both of whom could push Schmidt into a utility role or turn him into a trade chip. He said, I feel like every year I kind of been in that trade talk. So it's kind of nothing new for me. Schmidt said, I don't really pay attention to it. I just kind of take care of what I've got to take care of and get myself ready to have the best season that I can have. Okay, what I really liked is the closing here. He says, I think this year, given what I've learned last year, and now that my hand is fully healthy and my body is fully healthy, I kind of know what to expect. It's that I feel like I've kind of been able to learn every single year. Every year I feel like I've gotten a little bit better. I feel like this year I can figure out a way to put it all together and just go out and play and have a breakout year.
Yeah.
And I think that really, if he stays healthy, I think Casey's can hit close to 250 and give you 20 homers, give you 70, 75 RBIs and OPS 750-ish range. That's really good production if you look at any second baseman across Casey has a lot of power, and I've seen it displayed a lot in spring training the last few years going to right field. I think he just needs to be given a shot. And I think the Giants would be wise to just say, you know what, if we're going to add, let's go add out the outfield and move Jung-Hoo Lee over to, get a center fielder. But I really got to think they want to look at Gilbert. I think they want to look at Schmidt. And I think they need to really see, hey, are these guys, can they be everyday players? It was a short sample size last year, but in 34 games, Casey was hitting I want to say close to 270-ish with a 799 OPS. He was actually the club's best hitter for a 34-game stretch, and then bingo. So, we know he doesn't have the best range at second base, or there are better second basemen out there defensively. Yeah, but the one thing that Casey has going for him is pretty much vacuums everything up he gets to. And turning the double play, I love watching him turn a double play because he's got a cannon. And he's got a very quick hands. He's got the ability to just get the ball, like if you've ever watched him take a throw to second base from Bailey, it's just like, boom. He's got quicker hands than maybe just about any infielders in baseball. He's really gifted with his hands. So let's see what he does this year. And I think if he can have a breakout year, if Adames can get off to a better start, if Chapman can stay healthy, if Devers' back injuries are behind him, if Ramos comes back totally focused and starts playing better defense and has offensively, if Jung-Hoo Lee starts figuring it out, like, hey, maybe I should just start trying to slap the ball where they're not playing me. And if you get any production out of right field, you might, and then, Cody's talking about 84, 85 wins. And let's hope they're having a good first half and they add, yeah, you could have a shot to, So I think the Giants really have just decided to say, let's see what we got, Now, that being said, if they have a shot to get Donovan and its price is not too high, I think they'll take it. What do you guys think?
Yeah. One of the things I'll add about
those are a ton of ifs. Yeah. And if is the biggest 2-letter word in sports, right? Yeah. Really in life.
Yeah. The funny thing with Casey is that I've always kind of pointed out is they talk about the whole outs above average and things like that. And he graded out, a little below average at second base last season. And I don't think they know how to measure that with the arm, especially. They'll give a guy credit when he hoses a guy at third on a relay or something, or at home. But he doesn't get credit for all of the turns that he makes at second, where he gets a guy at first on a double play ball by a half a step. And it's like I'm sorry, I watched Tyler Fitzgerald play second. He wasn't making that turn. Like there he doesn't get credit for some of those where he really should. So I mean that's one of those shortfalls on some of the analytics I feel. But I mean it. Oh, go for it, Dallas.
Hey, I saw this picture posted on Instagram from FanFest. Dan, if you want to put that up there.
Yeah.
So you see, there's Casey. To me, he looks a little slimmed down there. That maybe he's slimmed down a little bit in the offseason to try and give himself some more range at second base. No idea other than just looking at him there, but he looked a little bit bigger at the end of last year than he does now.
I thought Bryce was tall. He doesn't look tall. Look at him, man. He's a definition of a giant there.
Yeah.
Where's Tony V in there? Was Tony V in there? I didn't see that. Was he in that photo?
He's not in that photo, no.
Okay. I did see some highlights of Tony V talking. I think that's another thing that we've kind of forgotten about. We talked about Tony V and that factor when he first signed, and then, then it got to the winter meetings, and we're all thinking, the Giants are going to add, and they didn't do much. And then so the focus has been on what are they doing? Why aren't they moving forward? What's the plan? And you kind of forget that Tony, I don't know how many games he's worth if, wins and losses, but I got a feeling the players are just going to like playing for him. And that there's going to be more of a, like, sometimes when you get a group of guys together that nobody expects things from, and they feel like they're being slighted, and you got a manager that wants to shove it up, and he's going to give them that type of attitude behind the closed doors. You're not seeing the full Tony Vitello. You're seeing a very humble, watered down version to the media. I guarantee you, when he gets in that clubhouse and he starts having his personality come out, he's going to get these guys ready to play. And if guys aren't ready to play, they won't play. Guys will step in. You're going to have to earn your playing time on this team.
Yeah. Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
There was stretches, last year they were the best team in spring training. They got off to a hot start. They won 9 out of 10 or 11 out of 12 or something to start off the season. And everyone was like, wow, this team is playing great. And then throughout the year, they would, would play well in stretches. And then they would have these terrible long losing skids, 12 games, 12 out of 14, something like that. A couple different stretches where they were awful. They could not pull out of it. And I think the new manager probably is going to have less tolerance for that, as far as, he'll change things up. He's going to have a little bit more averse reaction to those types of stretches. And Melvin was kind of like, well, the ball's not falling our way this time. And, sometimes you don't win them all. And at a certain point that kind of, just take it as it comes. That mentality starts wearing.
Such a bogus interview after the, with the press corps. It's like, I don't know what managers are supposed to really say, like
they can't, but
the ball's
behind
not
closed
falling
doors,
my way,
I think.
cracks me up.
What's that?
I said the ball's not falling our way cracks me up, because it's like the ball can't fall your way when you don't put the ball in play with less than 2 outs and a runner on third, bud.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So, that's worth some games there. If you could take a 10 game losing streak and turn it into a 6 game losing streak or whatever, if your longest losing streak is 5 games the whole season, and that's a rarity, then that would be an improvement. Or if you just cut down on those prolonged slumps where he figures out a way to, okay, this isn't working, let's try this. Just the way he talks to the team and says, unacceptable.
Now, Aaron, I got a quibble here with you. Get your facts straight, man. Come on, bake that dough. They got third place last year. Last game of the season, we squeaked it. We won. San Diego beat, I think Arizona lost, and we got third place. So we're moving on up.
And you want to talk about a team that hasn't improved either. Look no further than the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Diamondbacks have not done
Yeah.
anything. I mean,
You think
problem
our
is,
pen is
though-
bad? Look at their pen.
yeah, they've always had a bad pin for the last several years. I don't know what I like. The guy I like really in the pen is Henches, Sam Henches. That
Guy,
guy,
your setup guy.
I think so. He's going to be a really good eighth inning guy. Giants could, the Giants, if they had a situation where they were facing a lot of lefties and they got the lead, they could go.
Yeah.
I think Wisenhunt should be in the pen, but you could go Wisenhunt, Miller, Henches, and then close. Wisenhunt, man, if you don't have to
Close.
I don't know who's
This
going to
mysterious closer.
Jeez, but Henches. Hey, there could be a guy. If there's a dark horse that's maybe not even on the 40-man roster right now, that could climb themselves to the closer role.
I think Yoel Peguero is the guy.
I have a name in mind, but I don't think it would be this season.
Tim Harris.
They're gonna have to fix it. No, I don't think Trent's a closer.
Trent Harris. Trent Harris.
I think Trent's more of a. I think at the end, he could potentially be more of a middle relief or maybe a setup guy. I don't think he's gonna be a closer. He doesn't have quite that overpowering stuff. He has good stuff, but if you want to talk about a guy that if they can somehow get him in the zone,
Bednar.
Yeah, it's Bednar. I mean, he's got arguably the nastiest stuff of any reliever in their system.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're just talking pure stuff, he's up there with all the reliever.
And he's got the total mindset to be a closer too. If you watched him in the College World Series the year the Giants drafted him, he was I think he played for the Bulldogs, but he was a true Bulldog. He was just guy was just give me the ball, we're winning, And
I bagged on some of Farhan's picks, like the Crawford pick and stuff like that, but I won't give him grief on Bednar. That one was just bad luck. Crawford was a reach. Bednar was just terrible luck. No one could have ever predicted that he would blow his back out multiple times and require multiple surgeries, and that just is what it is. But he's kind of reinventing himself. I wonder if some of his command issues are kind of because of the injuries, if his mechanics changed a little bit, because he never really had this kind of issues throwing strikes previously.
Right. No, he's always had, and he's got those he's very powerful, lower body, which, you look at his brother, he's kind of turning into the build of his brother, maybe not as quite as big, but same powerful lower half. And I've said that too, Cody. I think he would be the closer, and sometimes a closer just gets a shot, gets the close, and then next game they go, hey, you know what? You did pretty good. And all of a sudden he's got 2 in a row, and then it's 3 in a row. And all of a sudden it's
a lot of confidence.
This is our closer for now. And then he just grows into it. I mean, that was Duvall. Yeah.
And it's crazy too, because the other hard part is, and if you want to talk about other guys that have a shot, it's frustrating because 2 of the guys with probably the highest starting potential of those young guys, if you're looking at Tidwell and Birdsong, and I understand why the org doesn't want to move on him, because realistically, long-term value-wise, and best for their development would be to keep them starting for right now. It's, at 24, 25 years old, you don't give up on a guy that's shown success as a starter and just shove him in the pen because, hey, that's our need right now. I get it. I can see that from a fan's perspective, but if you're talking long-term impact on the franchise, you can't do that. You got to keep them starting and building them up. But at the same time, those two guys probably have some of the best upside if you were to just shove them in the pen right now. Especially like you look at Tidwell, he's got kind of that sweeper and that gyro slider he throws. He could throw those 60% of the time and he'd be brutal on right-handed hitters. And, his fastball shape isn't the greatest, but he still throws it. He can hit 97, 98 at the end of a game if he's only maxing out for one inning. And then Birdsong, we've seen his stuff. Obviously, we've also seen him not throw strikes, but we saw what he could do out of the pen last season. So it's like the team's in this spot where they could take one of those guys and shove them in the pen. But if your goal here is to try and develop your young guys and have a shot at long-term success, you can't really just do that for the sake of doing it this season.
Right. And they have McDonald and Kaiwei Tang and Wynn and Beck and they have several guys. They have Wisenhunt. There's a lot of guys that they could put in the pen and keep Tidwell and Birdsong pitching as starters, and then they can come up when inevitably one of these guys gets injured. If they can get dialed in, get their mojo back in AAA, and they're winning games and they're pitching well and they've got a good earned run average, then when Robbie Ray has issues or one of these two other injury-prone guys, Molly and Hauser, have issues, then you have people you can bring up and fill the hole. And they're already going to have innings issues this year. Guys are going to have to pitch. These guys are going to have to pitch that they have in excess of these 4A pitchers. They need to figure out which of those guys can step up and fill the holes that will inevitably be there.
All right. I want to ask you a question first, Cody, on Wisenhunt, and then I want to bring us back to the topic of the night and just pick what we think is maybe one of three selections. I guess we could throw a fourth one in, which would be all of the above or no clue. But the first thing about Wisenhunt, what is his fastball clocking at right now? Is he about 95-ish?
He was clocking like 91 at the end of last year.
No, but when he was just at his very top, when he was started out.
I want to say like 94.
You could see him hit 94 like early in games, and then oftentimes it drops as the game goes.
Okay.
So if you do put him in the pen, I do think he's capable of like hitting 95 and then being able to throw his changeup over half the time.
Okay, this is what I want to get at. There is a pitcher that, if you guys have seen him, he was with the Yankees a couple years in the playoffs. Last year, he had a really good first half with the Detroit Tigers, but then he just started getting rocked because it's a guy named Tommy Canale, and he has a pretty good changeup, but he throws it about 86% of the time. It comes in at about 86, 87 miles per hour, and then he's got a four-seam fastball that he throws about 14% of the time. Two pitches, and he throws that at 94. I think Wisenhunt's changeup, what was that running at, Cody? Miles per hour wise?
I want to say it's actually down in like the low 80s.
That's what I thought.
He has really good arm action, and it's like a huge difference in velo, which is why he can throw 93 and get away with it a lot of times.
That's why I thought he was like 83. Right around 83 with the changeup. Imagine him throwing that changeup 50% of the time, and guys are on it, and they don't know exactly what's coming because if he can get the command with the changeup over, he can, for one inning, he can wind back up and throw 95 and 93 from the same, or 83 with the same arm slot, same everything, same delivery motion. That is like hell to for a hitter, because the timing is just so off. This is what the San Francisco Giants need to do. Stop making him even a potential starter. He doesn't have what it takes. Make him a really solid. He can even go 2 innings as long as he doesn't face anybody twice. That's what I think the goal for Carson Wisenhunt would be. Make him one of your relievers. And you know what? You talk about trade value. That's a guy that would have trade value if he become, you look at the Padres bullpen, what they've had the last couple years. I mean, they had like 4-headed monster down there last year. And then when they added, what's his name from the A's? What my head's blown up. Help me out. Who's the closer for the A's now? The Padres.
Flamethrower.
Miller. Yeah, the flamethrower. Miller. Mason Miller. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you can. This pin is going to be. They're going to go as far this year as their pitching will take them. I don't think. I do have an issue with the offense of struggles when it comes to the K rate. This is where I think Hunter Mentz is going to help out. If you look at those K rates right there, Jung-Hoo Lee, 10.8. This is career. You know, Matos is not bad. Gilbert, very short-lived, but 18%. But then you look at Devers, Ramos, Chapman, Bailey, Adames, and Eldridge. He shouldn't be on there twice, but very high K rates. That's 7 of the 9. If Hunter Mentz can help this Giant club, if everybody can knock off, 0.2, 0.3, come down, instead of 25, it's 22. Instead of 27, it's 24. I mean, just incremental and learn to change your swing approach with 2 strikes, especially with runners in scoring position, could be the difference of 3, 4, 5 games.
Sure, because even reducing it those couple of percentage points, that is the change in approach to accomplish that is actually beneficial. Because if you're trying to go the other way, you're trying to move the runner over, you're trying to shorten up on 2 strikes instead of just continuing to swing for the fence over and over. That would be helpful for a lot of the Giants lineup, I think.
Most home run hitters, they'll tell you, they aren't even going up there trying to hit a home run. They're just trying to hit the ball as, hard, and bingo, boom, it's gone, but just hit the ball hard. I want to go back to this topic that we were talking about tonight. Our thumbnail right here. Genuine question. If the Giants didn't want to be legitimately competitive, why on earth did they trade for Devers? Okay. Number 1, soft rebuild. Number 2, Johnson says no more spending until we see some real production. Number 3, they don't know what direction they're going. They don't have, Buster just was kind of going by the seat of his pants for the first year. What do you think? 1, 2, or 3, or none of the above?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I would say it's kind of erring towards a soft rebuild, but I do think Buster wants to improve this team, but I think it's also that Johnson, it's a combination. I think that Johnson doesn't want to spend. Like, you look at the guys that they've been linked to via the trade market, and it's guys like, Nico Horner, who's making, I think, $10 million this year, or Freddie Peralta, who's making $8 million this year, or Brendan Donovan, who's going to make like $6 million this year, 6.5. So if the price is right on, obviously Peralta already got dealt. I don't think Horner's going to get dealt, but if the price is right on Donovan, maybe they'll pull the trigger on that. But it's pretty clear after seeing what Freddie Peralta got. I don't know if Donovan actually is going to get that much, because an ace is always going to probably pull you a little bit more. From a desperate team like the Mets, who think they have a shot at a World Series. Whereas I don't think Donovan's going to have that kind of market. So, maybe if the price is right, they'll pull the trigger on, a deal like that and try and improve the roster a little bit that way. But I just don't think this team's going to put out any kind of real money this offseason.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think they're looking to incrementally improve the team. I don't think it's a rebuild, because you can't invest all that money you showed on those 3-4 players and then say, no, we're just going to take the next 3 seasons off where we're paying, close to the cap on all these players and just eat the best 3 years of their career that we're going to have for Devers, Chapman, and Adames. Not going to happen. So, but they also have budgetary constraints. Yeah. Johnson says sure, we'll spend if it's the right deal or whatever, but we want to be reasonable. We want to somewhat break even or whatever he says. That means they don't want to go over the CBT, which means they have about 17, 20 million left to spend. They probably don't want to blow all that, because they want to give themselves wiggle room to make moves during the season if the trade becomes available or, there's another move to be made. And that could be the case. Or they're just, we might see a couple of smaller moves and use up the remaining money. But I think that there is budgetary constraints that they're dealing with, and they have to work within those constraints. But I wouldn't call it a rebuild. But I also, they're not going for it either. They're kind of trying to make incremental improvements, get into the playoffs, and I think they estimate that their team has a better chance of success this year than the fan base does, than I do. That we do, we're saying 84 wins or I see a lot of people in the chat say 76 wins, 74 wins. I think Buster probably, when the team hits the field in April, he's going to, or I guess it's the end of March, he's going to think in his head, this is a 90 win team. He's at least going to have that confidence in the team, because otherwise, what are you doing? You're hoping for them to exceed your expectations, So, I don't know. I expect a couple more moves because it seems like the team is a little thin still. It probably won't be the big thing, but it might be an incremental move. Harrison Bader, you sign him, you put him in center field, you move Lee to right. All of a sudden, your right field gets a little bit better. Your center field defense gets better, and that's an incremental improvement on the team. Donovan, put him at second base. Casey Schmidt becomes your super utility man. Your bench got a little bit better. Your second base got better. So these are moves that could improve the team and not break the bank. And those might be moves that we continue to see, or it might be what Dan said earlier. They want to give Schmidt a chance. They want to give Matos and the crazy guy a chance in right field.
Yeah. Oh, Gilbert.
Gilbert. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna be honest. If they traded for Donovan, given what I've seen out of Gilbert so far, and I mean, this is going to be insane, and everyone's going to probably be like, "Are you nuts with the defense?" But I'd be half tempted to just chuck Donovan out in right field and keep Casey in the lineup, because at least the team will hit probably a little bit at that point. I mean, if their outfield defense has already sucked for a couple of years, or several years now, it's probably not going to get fixed this season unless they get Bader, which Bader wants a 3-year deal, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. If anybody gives them that, they're out of their mind. But you could always just say, hey, you know what, our defense is going to stink. It is what it is. In the outfield, we'll stick him out there and use Gilbert as a fourth guy, fourth outfielder that comes in late in games.
That could be. And if you did get Donovan, that would add flexibility. You could have him play second, and Schmidt could, move him around. You could have him go to the outfield, and then, you'd have defensive replacements you could bring into, left field or whatever. So it would give them a little more flexibility to move guys around. So I don't know. At this point, it's all speculation because we don't know if they're actually going to do anything.
What do you guys think of this?
I was gonna say, if you were to trade, like if they get Donovan, they end up moving Casey or something like that. The issue I see that I think a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that obviously think they need to move on from Casey and whatever, it's their opinion. But one thing that is factual is this team has like 2 guys that usually hit lefties pretty well, and that's Ramos and Casey. So if you go Donovan and you dump Casey for a reliever or whatever, because he'd have probably a value to get a relief pitcher. If you go that route, I mean, this is already a team that can't hit lefties. What's going to happen when you have 6 regulars in your lineup are left-handed?
Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah, because you got Lee, you got Devers, that's 2. You got Eldridge, 3. Bailey might as well just be left-handed because he can't hit right-handed.
Donovan would be there. He's lefty.
Donovan would be there. Yeah. So they would They would go. We'll see it.
Probably put Herrera or Matos or whoever the other outfielder is in right.
That's another thing.
But it's like,
I did a video on this, Cody. I I don't understand the Harar thing. I get that he's got some pop but if you're trying to go more contact, the guy strikes out a third of the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you upside defensively. Key situation, yeah, you might get a home run out of him or a double off the wall if he makes contact, because he hits the heck out of the ball when he makes contact. But a third of the time, where are you going to – is that a guy you want to bring up off the bench in a key moment where you need a hit? I get it. It was time to move off Wilmer. I'm not in love with Wilmer, but the guy only struck out 14% of the time. You got to find guys. If 7 of your 9 starters are big strikeout guys, you certainly got to have guys coming off the bench that make some contact. What's the deal with Encarnacion? I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's a guy that, given the time to play, could shine, but I don't personally see a lot of upside to take a 40-man roster. I would have liked to have seen what Austin Dean or Joey Weimer could provide defensively. They have some speed. They have some athleticism. Harar's just he's hit or miss. That's how I see him. I don't know.
I'd have kept Weimer over Harar personally. Yeah. Better defender, hits lefties a little bit at least. If you're dead set on playing Gilbert in right field, you could do worse than Weimer as the weak side of a platoon.
Right.
So,
did he get picked up?
But they're kind of the same guy.
Yeah.
He did
remember. It was like the Nationals or something like that. I can't remember.
Speaking of the Nationals today, did you guys see the Mackenzie Gore traded to the Texas Rangers for 5 prospects? One of them was the number 1 draft pick of the Rangers last year. The other 4, just really not a lot of value. We'll see. But it seems like, they got 5 prospects, but one prospect, was it Kiln or what's his name? I forgot his name here. Right? Fien, F-I-E.
Yeah, the guy that went right before Keelan in the draft.
Yeah. He's the showcase or the big piece of that trade coming back to the Nationals. But, how much control does Gore have? About 2 more years?
2.
So, Gore's, he's okay. He's just not real consistent. He can have really, he can look really good for 3 or 4 starts, and then he can get lit up pretty good. At least that's been my experience with him, having him part-time on my fantasy team the last couple years for periods before I dumped him. But I wanted to show you guys something. I saw this today. In fact, Senior sent me this. What do you guys, we heard a lot of people said the Red Sox were just trying to unload because they didn't want to spend on Devers, and that's why they dropped Devers. Senior says, and this was a reply. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Gosh darn it. What happened to it? Where's your back? Let me go back and see if okay, here it is. Okay. This was to the question tonight that someone else had posted. Giant Hot Takes had posted Dan Caveman question that we're talking about tonight. And one of the replies was Senior here. The Red Sox salary this year is $276 million, the most ever. That's BS that they were trying to save money moving off of Devers was just that, BS. They found a sucker, and unfortunately it was Posey. What do you think of that? Do you think that there was
I think it was a money reason that he left or that they shipped him out. I think it had to do with the disconnect between him and the org with the whole, won't play defense. And I'm not going to sit here and absolve Devers of any blame in that, because I mean, he did kind of tell them to shove it, but at the
I think he
same
pissed off the
time,
owner and wouldn't respond to his messages.
yeah.
So there was a little
But at the same
animosity
time, if you put yourself in Devers' shoes, when a guy, when your manager and your president all come to you and basically tell you, throw your glove in the garbage, you suck at defense. Guys have egos and they have pride, and when you tell Devers that, and then you come crying back to him, a month later, and he tells you to pound sand, I mean, don't be shocked. So it's like they're both at fault for it, but
Yeah,
I think it's just that relationship deteriorated.
correct. Yeah. Hey guys, we're just going to go another 5 minutes and then we're going to get out of here. I think Dallas, you got to head out right now, Dallas, or are you good for 5?
Yeah, I got to head out. I'll let you
All right.
guys steer the ship home.
We'll close it out here in 5 minutes. We're almost to an hour, and I just wanted to keep it to an hour tonight. So, Dallas, thanks. We'll probably be live next Tuesday. So that'll be the next live stream, unless there's any kind of breaking news, which doesn't appear anything's happening. And then, of course, I'll probably try to put out a video or two out between now and Tuesday, just to my hip's starting to get a little better where I can man, I saw the first time because I haven't been able to turn my back, see my leg from my hip down to below my knee, Cody. It looks like an Arizona sunset. Man, it is purple and orange, and oh man, it is gruesome. It just looks like it just got lit up. Man, that's it's all the inflammation and all that. It's yeah. What do we got here? That's the new term, 2026 Giants, pounding sand. There we go. What do you guys think? They're not coming back with nothing like it, are they, Cody? Please.
They took them all down. Supposedly, they took all those someone said they took all the posters and all the stuff down around the yard that had the slogan on it. So I mean, fingers crossed. I mean, you cannot run back a crappy slogan a fourth straight year. I mean, we said they couldn't do it 2 or 3 more years, and they kept doing it.
Hey,
but
I'm going to take a stab. I don't know. I have no clue, but I'm going to take a stab that the word resilient comes out in their slogan this year with Tony Vitello, like scrappy or resilient, something along that line. That's just where I think they're going.
Yeah, you just run back the whole 86 one. You got to like these kids.
Oh yeah,
and just be like, we're playing the kids. This is what you're gonna get. And,
man, the 86 team was exciting.
Yeah.
In fact, I was playing this the other day because I pulled up their records. Check this out. This is the record between all the years. Actually, keep it actually. Okay. Oops. Hold on. There we go. All right. So you look at that 70 or 86 team. That was the first year, I believe, Roger Craig took over, and he turned them around to a 83 and 79. And then next year they won the division.
Yeah.
The reason that's on there from 71 to 87, that was the sandwiched in between those 71 and 87 is no playoff appearances.
Yeah. I really don't have like playoff aspirations with this current group. Obviously, if things break right, fantastic. What I really need to see out of them is just progress. I need to see a couple of young guys establish themselves and them to take a step forward that at least gives the indication that this team's going to be ready to win in 27. And then and indicate to ownership, we are ready for you to invest in us, especially when you have guys like Ray coming off the books and things like that. And I know the free agency is not a great, class next year, but the farm system, the way it's building up, they currently have 4 top 100 guys. I could easily point to 2 guys that will probably be top 100 added to that list. And then there's like 5 different players that I think
you'll have Eldridge probably come off. and they'll drop to
Yeah.
3, but they might add 2. And if Level and
if they
Davidson
don't fall
stay
off,
on,
you know.
but you could have maybe 5 at
Yeah,
some point
easily.
next year. Yeah.
And I could point to like 4 or 5 different names of guys that I think are one good season away from putting themselves on that list.
Yeah.
If they can back up last season's at, a higher level, guys like Bresnahan, Kayama, Martinez, etc. Those guys.
Kayama and Martinez, those guys are both starters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where are they going to be this year? In Eugene or
San Jose?
San Jose. Okay.
Keener might move a little quicker. Kayama's only 19.
Okay.
He'll be in San Jose. Keener, I think, turned 20. What do my notes say? I have my notes from yesterday. He is, I think, 21 already. Yeah, he turned 21 already.
Yeah, I want to look up this schedule for 26 here. Let me see. It starts early May through July. What do those guys do that guys like Joshua, and I know he was in the DSL last year, but if they come, he's obviously coming stateside this year. They're not going to leave him in the DSL, are they? He's probably going to come to the ACL, right? Yeah. So what are they doing with those guys once the Giants break camp in spring training? Are they just playing ball at Papago and playing other? I mean, there's no real league going on. What are those guys doing for, March and April? Because the Arizona Complex League,
extended spring.
Schedule doesn't start until early May. Yeah, early May. So early May through July, and then I think they'll both Joshua and Hernandez will be down here in Arizona, and then that's going to be an easy ticket in June and July. It's just as you got to go sit out. Those games probably start at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning, or they play them at night because it's 110, 120 at times. Yeah. So you got that. Then they'll probably move up to San Jose, right? In when the ACL ends.
I think there's a good chance if they earn it, if they play well, like, Johnny Level was the Complex League Player of the Year. Yeah. And I think not Kayama, Martinez was the Complex League Pitcher of the Year. And Kayama had like a 2 ERA, and De La Torre, like they had 4 guys that they pulled up from Arizona, and those guys, every single one of them earned it the way they played in the Complex League. So, if Gonzalez plays that well, he will probably move up like Level did. And same thing with Hernandez. And a little fun fact, and people are going to complain about Luciano here, but if Hernandez does go up to he's going to be 17 the entire season. If he makes it to San Jose, he'll be the first guy since Luciano in the Giants system to get to A-ball or an A-ball affiliate.
See a guy that can
17.
See a guy that can legitimately make the big leagues at 20 if he progresses at each level.
Anything's possible, I guess. If he does, he's the way him being as advanced as he is, and them thinking that he'll skip the Dominican League entirely gives him a much better shot for sure.
Let me rephrase that question so that Aaron appreciates it. If or might Hernandez have a really great spring, and if he should continue his ascension, could he make it at 20? How's that, Aaron?
Wait, you missed one. If that happens, he should be there at 20.
Oh, I said should though.
Oh, you did?
I had should.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say this with Posey and Wynn running it, I think generally speaking, they're going to err on the side of not pushing these guys too fast. But if he just shows that he's advanced enough and dominates each level, I'd give any guy a shot. But I'm not the kind of person to predict somebody to get there that quickly at that young of an age.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here for the evening. We've gone just over an hour and 4 minutes. Guys, thank you for being here. Make sure you catch Cody tomorrow night, Even Year Dynasty Show. He'll have you got the crew with you. Is Dan back and Ricky, or just one of them?
I think it's just Dan and I tomorrow.
Okay. So Dan, Caveman, who kind of was instrumental tonight in our conversation, because he tweeted out today, and this was the tweet, guys, right there. There it is. Look at that. We got it right into the tweet, or into the thumbnail. Got his name, his whole thing in there. Genuine question: if the San Francisco Giants didn't want to be legitimately competitive, why on earth did they trade for Rafael Devers? Well, that was an awesome question, and makes for a good content show to talk about. So you got any guests coming Monday?
Well, we're gonna just have to find out, because I don't know yet.
Okay. All right.
We'll be reaching out to a few people.
Right.
We'll see what our schedule looks like and if we can slide someone in.
All right. So tomorrow night, Even Year Dynasty Show. Check them out. They got some good merch too on their website. I've been looking at it. Go over there. Make sure if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to NorCal Sports Network tonight too. If you haven't liked this show, it helps push out the live stream to more people once we're done. So go ahead and give that a like if you would. We would appreciate that. And thank you. I will take care of that hip. I certainly will. I go back tomorrow for my 10-day checkup date. So I go see the doc tomorrow, and then and I'm having PT now. And so I'm starting to, next week, next week's week 2 should be a better. I guess I'm in the beginning of week 2 right now. So I'm hoping that by week 3, I'm starting to move around. I had to time this, I wasn't ready to do the surgery earlier in the year because I had such a battle with my blood loss last July that I had to have a bunch of hospitalization, transfusion. Took a while to build up my hemoglobin count so that I was ready for surgery again. And then I was like, I wanted to do it like early December because I wanted to start the year off feeling good. How you ever like January, I want to tack, some physical health goals and lose some pounds and that kind of stuff. I says, okay, well, I don't want to do it too late because it gets so hot here and you can't go outside. So and I says, and I certainly don't want to miss spring training. So I should be ready to go as soon as spring training is ready to go. So where I can actually move around pretty good. So, but thanks for your well wishes to all those who have reached out. I'm going to play the music and then we'll get out of here. All right, guys. Again, thank you for being here. Again, go check out tomorrow night, Even Year Dynasty Show, right here on YouTube with Cody and Dan will be together. I'm going to try and get Casey back on. I did hear from him during the show. He finally texted back to me and said rehab, or let me just read the first.
He said his cousin says hi.
Yes, cousin says hi, yes. That was great. Recovery's going good. So, and he's got to get back to me because just getting settled in Arizona, and girlfriend's there now, and so we got to she's got to get the place ready. So, you know how that is. So I said, okay, he'll get back to me, and maybe we can hear from him before spring training starts. And I'd like to get a couple other guys on too, but we'll see. But anyway, guys, have a great night, and we will catch you next here on the live. Will probably be next Tuesday night. Look for some videos. All right, take care, everybody. Have a good night.